everybody. I'm Dr. Jyun. Today, we have great guest, Linda Seagraves. She's the certified clinical hypnotherapist, as well as a forest therapist, so-called Shinrin-yoku in Japanese, and also mindfulness practitioner. And then she got extensive experience and knowledge of vast of mindfulness and mind and body connection. So many ways that she is guiding to the clients to help having a better lifestyle. And recently she received 2 other certifications. And could you tell us about this new ways to help people?
I've studied the mind-body connection for many, many years, and it's come from my own experiences in life and also the people that I've worked with over the years. So I became quite interested in Dragon's Way Qigong. So I've had other opportunities for Tai Chi. I went to China to study Tai Chi and also have studied medical Qigong. But I was very interested in Dragon's Way Qigong because it includes diet, so recommended foods, eating for the seasons. So each season has a different kind of food that will nourish and take care of us. And then also the Dragon's Way Qigong is a Wu-Ming Qigong, which is ancient. The lineage is Lao Tzu. So that Qigong, those Qigong practices, in addition to healthy eating and healthy thoughts about our life, is a robust, wonderful program that helps people to be able to bring their body and their mind into balance and harmony. So I'm very delighted with that.
So basically, that's combination of ancient wisdom, Qigong,
Yes.
many, many thousands of years.
Yes.
And then all those advancements keep happening. And then now in the United States, especially, really last maybe decades, a couple decades, mindfulness and really meditation, all those practices become very, very important and became a lifestyle for us. So,
Yes, I think they're all starting to come together, June. They're all beginning to inform and to enliven one another. I'm a certified yoga instructor, and I realized that there was something about the movement of Qigong that was very harmonizing. I'm also certified as a somatic experiencing practitioner, which is treatment for trauma. And I realized that some of the movements in the Qigong style were so subtle, so kind, and so soothing that they helped people to move through difficult places where they were stuck. There also is another practice called havening, which is Doctors Ron Rudin, they're brothers, and they have offered us a way to be able to reduce the stuckness of our systems. And I'll be doing some havening with us today. So I'm very excited to be able to actually share that with you. So those things have brought me to where I am right now, where the clients that I work with, helping them just continuing to keep their own systems moving, alive, vibrant. Isn't that what we all want? To just enjoy our life, to have fun, and to feel good while we are going through our day.
Yes. Isn't the concept is that all of them really bring up to this busy, go lifestyle that we have, that is sympathetic nervous system overriding it.
Yes.
So really our key is to activate the parasympathetic, which is a calming nerves, creating a nice flow, resting, digestion, regeneration, isn't it?
It is. And I think that we are not, particularly in the Western culture, we don't get guidance early on in our lives about how to do those soothing practices. In fact, we are encouraged not to do them. We're encouraged to pay attention right here. Don't let your eyes wander. Be stiff and sit there still. And all of these things bring up tremendous amounts of tension in the body. And so now what we're doing is we're offering people an opportunity to practice kind of unraveling those tense muscles and those tense thoughts, and actually being able to move through the process and doing something that we are now calling letting go.
Yes, that's all we need. to let go. This previous belief that we have, this
Yes.
stuckness,
Yes.
this acquired from our parents, could be grandparents, or transgenerationally, we
Yes.
acquire through the DNA, through our nervous system. They're acting automatically in the through unconscious, subconscious mind. So sometimes we are not easy to say, yeah, let's do this technique to let go and release. But sometimes hardwired, stuck in the deep in the subconscious mind. So those type of technique that you're going to introduce help us to learn how to unwind those things and then refire those different nervous system to
Yes.
activate. That's a
I think that's beautifully put.
concept.
Beautifully put. Yes, and I think that if we can start from the time that we're little, the first six years of our life, we're being programmed.
Mm-hmm.
And we are picking up the nuances of our family, the nuances of people around us, and even our environments. And so by the time we reach 6 to 7 years old, we're pretty much programmed. And the estimate is that 70% of what we are being programmed to be aware of is negative. Watch out for this. Don't fall down there. Things that we don't do. And then when we realize that we've come into the world at that point programmed, then we are living 95% of our day in those subconscious habit patterns, programs that are directing our life.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't figure out when we're going on our little boat and all of a sudden we've gone in a different direction and we can't figure out how did we get here? And it's because those programs are there and were put in place to take care of us.
Mm-hmm.
But it's at some point in our lives, they just don't work as well as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we arrive at the place where we can say, I would like to make a change. Now, as Dr. Jyun says, it's easy to say, well, just let go of that. I don't know if anybody has suggested that to you when you're under a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
It does not help because the truth of the matter is, if you could let go, if you could be different in that moment, you would.
Right.
And
so switch off and turn the switch on. Right?
We don't. The estimate is that the electrical energy runs through our brains. It can reach 100 miles an hour. So we're thinking a lot faster than our nervous system can accommodate. So we need to be really kind to ourselves. So I have a little something to demonstrate the nervous system because the thing that we know is the most important job that we all have is take good care of your nervous system, which means be kind to yourself, get enough rest, talk kindly to yourself, give yourself those wonderful, encouraging messages. Negative self-talk is pretty common among human beings, particularly those of us in the West. So let's just take a look at this little slinky. My teacher, Dr. Peter Levine in somatic experiencing, which was the trauma therapy, this is his favorite because it shows that this is a normal nervous system functioning back and forth. Things are flowing. You've got fluids flowing through the body. You get something, it comes up to you, and you can immediately respond to it in a way that feels good. All right, well, let's say you didn't really get a great night's sleep, or that you're going into a meeting and you know that you do not have all of the information, or you feel like you might be attacked. So the nervous system starts going like this. Your body now needs more energy, which it doesn't have because you've been under pressure for days. And pretty soon the nervous system starts functioning like this. And pretty soon what happens is we have a nervous system that goes, wow, I can't keep up with you. So now that we know this, and we know that, think about when you're walking, there's a kind of gait that just feels right. And then there's a gait that feels like, oh, you got to really hurry up because you're late. And then there's a gait that feels stiff. That's the one where you know that it's time to pause and slow down and do some self-care. So if you know that your programming has a bias for the negative side of things, and you know that it is time that you can actually start making some changes for yourself, then the question is, what kind of changes are you going to make?
That's the question.
It is the question. So let's talk about what the steps are to make those changes. Usually changes happen by a decision on one specific issue.
Mm.
So let's say that you want to quit smoking,
Mm-hmm.
or you want to quit drinking so much, or you want to quit eating so many sweets.
Mm.
So the idea of just choosing something that's really important to you, that's the key. If we try to work on everything at the same time, remember the nervous system,
We can
it's
handle
too
that.
much.
Too many things.
It can't manage that much. Even though your brain can do it, the nervous system is trying to manage it, and it's like too many balls in the air, too many plates in the air. So when we say that we would like to let go, I have another little demonstration. So here's just a ball. Letting go is as easy as this. Letting go feels like the cessation of something that is constricted, something that feels tense, something that feels too much, something that feels like you might feel kind of fullness in your head, and you can't release it. So here's where we get to talk about the window of tolerance. So if you can just imagine a window, and we've got a wave that goes inside this window. So when we have arousal, which we all do, something seems alarming or a little surprising, the sympathetic nervous system, like Dr. Jyun said, is going to start to ramp up. And then we get to the top here. And if we've come to the top of our window of tolerance, we're going to start to feel unsure, insecure. We're going to start feeling maybe angry, or we're going to start feeling like we need to hide, or ashamed that we don't know enough. Now, if we go outside the window of tolerance, that's when we begin to not function to our best advantage. And then we end up doing things that we're not satisfied with. So in the process of learning to let go, we're learning to ride that wave through sympathetic, cresting over the top, coming back down, and now we're going to get the benefit of the parasympathetic, that rest, digest. You got this. You can do it. I got faith in you. All of that happens when you're in that parasympathetic. And then you are rested enough, and you come up, and you're going to get activated again. That sympathetic energy is going to help you rise. Now, if you are exhausted and you come to that challenge with your mind and your body tired, you're not going to have the energy to ride that curve in a way that feels satisfactory. So what can we do to be able to be sure that we have the energy that we need? It takes energy to change. And it's not energy that comes from adrenaline, or that comes from cortisol, or that comes from, I had a client the other day telling me that they just drank a Red Bull in the morning. It doesn't come from drinking a Red Bull or drinking more coffee or eating chocolate-covered coffee beans. That is putting your system in a real state of overexcitement, but you don't have the natural energy there to help you make the change. So I'd like to tell you a bit about some of my clients that I've had that have really made some successful changes. And the way that we start out is we check in on what is their ability to be able to calm themselves, to be able to relax themselves, to be able to bring that energy back down inside the window of tolerance. Most of us don't think that way. And we just think it's pedal to the metal, and I'll rest when I get the project done. So I know this strategy quite well, because that used to be my
We all practice.
Yes,
we all practice that.
I just thought if I worked harder and I worked faster, and that I could get it all done. One time I worked so hard and so fast, the hair on my head started falling out. I had a little coin right here where the hair came out. And that was extreme stress, because that was my strategy. Just work harder, faster, smarter, be more efficient. I probably learned that being the oldest daughter of 5 children and being an officer in the Marine Corps. That helped me a lot to learn those strategies.
Through experience.
It is. And they worked for me for a very long time. But I began to realize that they weren't efficient and that it left me exhausted. So that's why I begin with my clients. What is your awareness of how to take good care of yourself? And what I find from adults right on down to children, we don't have that much information about it. So let me just talk about one of my clients, a 40-year-old man. And he came to me. First of all, he called me to see if I had ever dealt with adult enuresis. So this is the nighttime wetting. And I said that I knew what it was and that I had a familiarity with it. And he said, well, let me call around. I want to see if there's somebody better. I said, absolutely think that's a great idea. You see, what's going to work best for you. And then he called me back and said, I'd like to come and see you. So we worked for a period of about 7 weeks. We worked first on his ability to relax himself. And we did that through some meditations. So I gave him some meditations to listen to at home. Here's where I think it's so important for us to know it's not one and done. The nervous system doesn't work that way. And going in and having one session and you think you know it, and then what's the next step is you're disappointed because it didn't work for you. So here's where self-compassion, here's where a kind of kindness to yourself is really important. And that involves creating a lot of space. So when we create this notion of space around ourselves, we are able to do wonderful work. So over time, we realized that he had a deep connection to his mother, who used to really be kind to him about this and really helped him in his life. And then when he grew, he found out that he had this habit pattern now that was with him as he grew, and he missed things in his life that were important to him. He had never had an overnight with his friends.
So that's became the traumatic incident or the event.
It was his encoding.
Encoding, right?
Yes, so that encoded onto his synaptic structures. He'd never gone to camp. He'd never done anything with the Boy Scouts that involved overnight. He was married to a very kind woman, but he had never had a dry night in 42 years. So we began to discuss how that patterning had influenced his life. And we began to do letting go techniques. We began to do relaxation. We began to do repatterning of that thought process. What was his perception? So his perception was that he was stuck with this, that he could never move beyond it, that it was he was trying me as a last resort. And when I found out I was the last resort, I was so thrilled. I was thrilled because that meant that he was at his edge. He didn't have any other strategies, and it was this or nothing. So that means that he was tuned in enough and really desperate enough to be serious about confronting the changes. So when his fears come up, I would ask, well, what are you going to do when the fear comes up? He said, I just hide from it. So I said, there we go. We have choices. We can suppress, we can repress, we can engage, and we can escape. So how are we choosing to engage with this issue? So right away, what did we do? We widened the space. We widened the number of choices. And they were all perfectly good choices. Nothing was wrong about the choices. So I said, would you ever consider simply going to bed without protection? And he goes, I could never do that. I'm married. And I said, I know, but can you trust yourself enough to know that your body knows what to do? Our bodies know how to heal itself. We know what to do. It was this child learning that didn't happen for him.
Mm-hmm.
And when I said that to him, the look on his face was like he was like he saw a vision. I said,
Yeah.
that little boy just didn't learn that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a step that was missed.
Yes.
So we went back and we worked with that little guy and helped to enliven him, empower him, and to help him. Well, the result was he said that he was done with working with me. He thought he would be fine. About a month later, no, it was 2 months later, I got a note from him. He said, I just want to update you and let you know what has happened since we met the last time. He said, I had 15 days that were dry. I had 2 days that were not dry, and then another month dry. He said, it's a miracle. He said, I never, ever thought this could happen. It's a miracle, and I'm deeply indebted. I wrote him back and said, the one you need to thank is yourself.
So, yes. Isn't it?
So that was a breakthrough. That was a true letting go of that old belief that he was stuck with it.
The child,
And he got stuck with that probably right around 5, 6 years old. Usually the bedwetting stops between 4 and 6.
Yes.
So remember, we talked about from 0 to 6, we are being programmed. That got programmed in his mind that he was stuck with that.
Great neurogenesis. You really reactivate all these neurons, finding out finally.
Yes. I also had the great pleasure of being called by a mother whose little boy, 5 years old, 2 brothers, so 3 brothers, he's the middle, bedwetting. And so I said, it's just that his little body hasn't matured yet. And I said, this is something that will pass. He will be fine. And at that point, she burst into tears. And it was just, I think they didn't know what to do. So she brought him in. So now we've got a 5-year-old who's within the programmable window. And so we did really fun things. What do we do when we want to make a change? Let me tell you what we do. We play. We sing. We dance. We have fun together. And in my teaching, Grandmaster Lu, my Qigong teacher, said, if you really want to let go of something, you get a dozen eggs and go throw them. So here's what I did. I took my garden cart out and I folded it open. I had him come in and I said, we're going to write the things that you'd like to let go of. So we wrote things like being mad at my sister, wetting the bed, being mad all the time. We wrote something. He knew. It was one after the next. We wrote those eggs. And then we went out and he's a baseball. So this is perfect for him. And he threw those eggs one after the other. And he was thrilled. His sister came the next day. She did the same thing because they were trying to get their relationship. And as the sister was leaving, she said, I could throw eggs all day long. So not only did their relationship repair, he also repaired with his 2 brothers. And the bedwetting stopped at the end of 6 sessions.
So beautiful, isn't it?
So here we have 2 examples of how letting go can happen at any age.
So means that our brain, the mind is malleable, we're able to adaptable. So we just need to guide, the mind, how to do it.
And to give that sense of confidence that we can do it. I'll give one other short example. This was a young girl. She was at the time 8, and she was terrified of the flame on the stove. And so if her mother would turn the stove on and walk over to the sink, she would become very anxiety ridden. And one day her mother put a pan on the stove, ran upstairs to get something, and the little girl became hysterical. So the mom called me and said, I don't know what to do here. So what I did with this little girl was I did havening with her, and which I will show you during the session today. And she was so like a duck to water with this protocol. So we did the havening. We talked about, what if fire was all right? What if it just helped us to get our meals and things like that? The day after we did the havening, I got a call from the mother and said that the little girl walked over to the stove, turned on the gas, and put a pan on it.
Wow. That shift, just one session.
So it means that anchor on the end of the neuron was dissolved. So literally, she went from gripping to letting go. It happens that fast, but the nervous system has to believe that it is possible and that that's your intention. You can't ever doubt yourself. Once you've set an intention, never doubt. You are so in charge of your intentions. You are way in charge of your system once you decide upon something. But if you go, well, maybe it won't work, or I don't think that's going to really help, I would agree with you. You're going to be right. So, but the minute you can talk to yourself in a way where you say, this is what I want for the value and the enrichment of my life, things will start happening for you in an incredibly wonderful way. So
there's so much hope, isn't it? That
yes.
all the people that are suffering, especially in the last few years, stress level got intensified. People are so blocked up ever since.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is an area where I'm finding I'm really able to help people, because the difficulty that we had, first of all, we need one another to co-regulate.
Yes.
We need to be in physical proximity. We need to be able to see one another's faces, because we get so many cues from our mirror neurons.
Yes.
Look what happened. Overnight, we were not able to see one another's faces. We started treating each other differently. Number two, we couldn't see the enemy. We didn't know what the enemy looked like. So what we did is we started projecting the danger onto other people. So maybe so-and-so has the virus. Maybe this person has the virus. Maybe if I go grocery shopping, I will come down with the virus. I'm a big hiker, and the most vibrant and wonderful place you could be is the forest. I cannot tell you the number, and I walked every day out in the forest, the number of people that I saw in the forest with a mask on, so terrified that they couldn't even take advantage of what the forest had to offer them. So we became a terrified worldwide culture. And now see what's happening. All the strife, all the unraveling, all the upset, all the fighting with people, all the alarm. People are on high alert. The world appears to be a dangerous place. So here's where this is a tip for you. Know what is in your mind. If you have a lot of fear in your mind, you're going to be seeing the world as a fearful place. If you have a lot of anger in your mind, you're going to be seeing the world as an angry place. And you're going to feel very, very defensive. If you see that we are moving through a period of bifurcation, which is a big energetic change, and that we are moving through, again, those waves of cycle that we're in, you're going to be able to navigate better. We're in a cycle. For my classes, I use surrealistic images. I started to do some research on those, and I realized, well, when did surrealism get started? What was the thing that prompted? Because it was so bizarre at the time, 1920s. So here's the pattern. World War I, the Spanish flu pandemic, and then surrealism, non-linear thinking, non-linear visions, non-linear writing and artwork. And it has become a phenomenon to this day. It directs us. We are in, it looks like, 100-year pattern. And then also in the book that I read, it said, if you want to see the pattern, the Greeks went through the same thing. So if we can, again, here I'm suggesting widening the space around yourself so that we can know that we are going to work through this period of time that we're in. We need one another for co-regulation. We need one another for a sense of connection. Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about evolution. That used to be linear thinking, that we're just plodding along. What we know now is that bacteria forms up into communities.
Yes, isn't it?
We are the same. So we need our communities. So the pandemic has put us into a time of challenge. And I think that's what Dr. Jyun and all of his colleagues and I are doing with my clients, is helping them to realize you need to come back home to yourself.
Yes.
You need to develop your internal skills of feeling grounded. How do you feel grounded? Here's a tip. You push your feet into the ground. You push your hands onto the table. And in trauma therapy training, I learned that the best way when you are feeling unseated and dysregulated, you simply wrap your arms around yourself and you give your body a sense of containment. This is the most powerful thing you could do. You just give your body a sense of being hugged. And so if you're watching this, I'd like you to do it now. Just let yourself feel that sense of containment. And here's where we have an opportunity to talk about what's your anchor. We need an anchor to come back to. If this is your anchor, great. You could also have an anchor be your breath, particularly your out breath. So we don't need to gasp for air. All we need is just a, and then a, let's do that again together. Take a nice breath in, and then feel all the breath going out. Feel your tummy coming out. This time, let's do it together. Take a breath in, and then and why is this important? That out breath down regulates your nervous system. It down regulates your heart. But give yourself a nice hug to get that feeling of containment. And then say something really sweet to yourself. Like, the way I talk to myself is, my darling, you've got this.
Yes.
You can handle this. You can manage this. I'm here for you. And this is a way we take care of ourselves. We can talk a bit about self-compassion. I am a great student of and believer of, and a person who respects Kristen Neff and Chris Germer tremendously for the research they've done on self-compassion. Self-compassion is a way of treating ourselves as we would treat the dearest, most cherished friend, and in the way that we want to help. Not just that we feel sorry for them, but we really want to help them. And we say, it's a way of nurturing ourselves. Until we do that, we are not able to do it for anyone else. So I strongly encourage you to know what you're thinking about, like what's in your mind today. And here's where the challenge will come. If your pattern is to criticize yourself, or to have judgments about others, or to be angry at drivers on the highway, to challenge that, your nervous system is going to say, don't do it, don't do it. I'm here to take care of you. If you do it, something terrible will happen. So your nervous system and your brain kind of goes into this little adult tantrum. And that's your opportunity to say, I'm here with you. I can be here with you. And we're just going to try something else for just a minute, and I'll get back to you in a second. So we don't dismiss ourselves. We don't put ourselves down. We treat ourselves with this kind of gentle kindness. That's self-compassion. There's gratitude for having the opportunity to practice. There's a sense of joy that we're learning something new, and that sense that we're on the move to something better. So this is what we have the opportunity for. So now I would like to help by showing some havening.
Okay.
So havening is a marvelous protocol. I'd like to tell you a little bit about it first. So we are indebted to the Rudin brothers. So Dr. Rudin Ron Rudin saw some research years ago on the fact that there are ways when we touch our body that we generate delta waves. So if you know a little bit about the brain waves, most of it, when we're on and we're functioning and we're moving, we're in the highest level, beta. Now, coming down a little bit, we're in alpha. That's kind of the sweet spot. We know what we're doing. We're getting work done. We feel good about it. We can be interrupted and not be upset. We're just in that sweet spot. Now it's the end of the day, and we're coming home, and time to go to bed. We move to theta. Now we're in that twilight mode, or we sit down to do some meditation. We move into that kind of twilight place where we feel a little bit floaty, but we're not asleep yet. And then once we're asleep, where we're doing the repair work, the rest and digest, we are producing delta waves. These are these long, slow, easy waves. Well, I have some exciting news for you. We can produce delta waves while we're awake. And it helps us to undo these stuck places in our mind and body. So what are these places that help us to do that? It's the hands moving back and forth. And it doesn't matter, you can do it in any way that feels good to you. And then the other way, because this does not need to be done in an order, is simply crisscrossing your arms and running from the shoulders down to the elbows. So let me give you a little tip. We don't want to move up because, as you might imagine, that's activating. So we go from shoulders down to elbows. Shoulders down to elbows. This should be feeling pretty good. Your arms are very relaxed.
Feels really good.
It does, and it's very soft and soothing. And then the place on the body that produces the greatest number of delta waves is the face. And it's just a simple stroking from the forehead down to over the cheeks and down to the chin. And just register in your own body what that feels like. And now rest for a moment while I help us with a little exercise here. So I would like you to think of something that you'd like to let go of, something that's been difficult for you. Probably not from 0 to 10, not a 10, but something 5, 6, around in that. So a little bit difficult, but not overwhelmingly difficult. And bring to mind a situation where that difficulty was hard for you, embarrassing for you, frustrating for you, irritating for you, made you just plain flat out angry. So really get that into your body and recognize, where does that go in your body? Maybe your gut, maybe your shoulders, maybe your chest or your hands, and register that in your body. And please give it a number between 0, not a problem at all, and 10, overwhelming. So find your number and register that in your body. I'm going to give you a second to do that. So let me know, Dr. Jyun, when you've got yours. Do you have yours?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now, I'd like you to begin doing havening and self-havening. It doesn't matter. You can do it in any order that feels good to you. You can stick with one movement, or you can move from movement to movement. And I'd like you to count from 10 down to 1 out loud.
8, 7, 6, 3, 2,
Wonderful. Now, I would like you to spell the word "and" backwards.
D, A.
That's it. You got it. Very, very good. Now, I would like you to count backwards from 25 by 5s down to 0.
25, 24, 20,
20 by 5. 25,
25,
20.
20, 15, 10, 5, 0.
Very good, very good. And now I would like you to imagine that you had a wand in your hand, and continue doing havening, but I'm going to demonstrate it. And so that you're doing this wand just back and forth, up and down. It's a light wand, like a lightsaber. Just imagine that you are doing that. Moving that round in that infinity sign. See your light wand, you and Harry Potter. And now take that wand and make that infinity shape on the ground. Take your wand and see, you might be making that shape in sand. And now take your light wand as though you were a sky rider and make that big shape in the sky, in the clouds. So you are making that shape, that infinity shape. Are you doing it? Yes. There it is. It's now up in the sky. You can see it. And now imagine that you are in outer space, and your light wand is so strong that you can make this shape out into the galaxy, this huge infinity shape out in the galaxy. And now come back, and I would like you to repeat after me. What if it feels easy to let this go? What if I am free? What if it's okay to take it slow? What if I can enjoy myself while I'm changing? What if I chose one small step to reach my goal of letting go? One small step. What if I already did that. And I'm congratulating myself. I'd like you all to say, good job.
Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
You did it. What if I just enjoy being who I am? And now I would like you to be with yourself and to make the most vivid imagining of you being successful. Let it be you celebrating, enjoying, having fun with it, being so proud of yourself that you did this thing for yourself. You accomplished this one small task that led to other tasks, and now you have succeeded. You have succeeded in being able to accomplish something that was important to you, that was your intention. And now I'd like you to rest your hands. And I would like you to check in with your body. How do you feel right now? What are you noticing? How does your internal dialogue, how does that look? And what do you see now as possibilities or potentials that were not visible to you before? What little spark has given you inspiration to move forward in your life? Take a moment and give yourself this gift. What are the possibilities that are specific and unique to you? The gift that you're giving to yourself. And now I'm going to suggest again, just give yourself a little hug. Get your body feeling like you did so great. And if it feels a little uncomfortable or unfamiliar to be in this relationship with yourself, I would say good for you. Because if we can get ourselves a little uncomfortable and a little confused and just a little bit off balance, that means the doorway has opened for you to make the changes that you are hoping and wanting in your life. And that is the first step in being able to let go of other things. So what is letting go again? Let's remind ourselves. It's the cessation of tension. It's that feeling of just dropping a burden that you've been carrying. And I want to be sure that you understand what the steps are. The first step is to be aware that you even have attention. So you're bringing it out of the subconscious and you're bringing it into your conscious mind. That you're aware that you are constricted or you're tightened in some area. Then you make it okay. And you connect into the feeling. You notice I did not say the thoughts, because one feeling can generate thousands of thoughts, thousands of them. So we're not going to muscle or struggle our thoughts to the ground and be able to make progress. But once you can connect to that feeling, I feel afraid, I feel tenseness in my stomach, I feel that tightness in my arm. Right in that moment, you have the opportunity to simply stick with it and go, oh, I'm tightened in my arm. I think I'll just relax that. Or I'm tightened in my mind. I'm so angry. Oh, I think I'll just kind of relax around that, create some space around it. I might think about something that brings me great pleasure. If I have a pet, I might think about my pet or my family member or doing something that I love to do. Give your brain another option. And then you stick with it until you've let go on all kinds of different things. And I've even seen brain scans where the old patterns are there, but they're dark. And then the new patterns are there, and they're the ones that are active. So when we choose to stick with ourselves and continue letting go and letting go and letting go, each time we have the opportunity to recognize something, we make some very big changes in our life. So the steps are very simple, but I think if you can set it up with gratitude for being who you are, self-compassion for the challenge of moving through this life, there are challenges which are good for us,
Yes.
and then being willing to walk the path, sticking with yourself. I will just say that I had one period of time where I was trying to let go of some anxiety, and it was gripping me horribly. And I thought, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it. And I had to stick with it for 5 days. They were very uncomfortable days. And I thought I was going to be stuck with it forever. On the 6th day, I went into a feeling of bliss
Wow.
that I don't even have words for. It was like all of a sudden I became a bird. And so I can tell you from my own experience that this theory that was developed by Dr. David R. Hawkins does work. But we need to have some way to support ourselves when we are moving through the process of repatterning. It's self-guided neuroplasticity, which means we're so unique as humans. We can do this. No other species is able to do this. We can decide that it is time for us to make a change, and then we can create the steps and the conditions to be able to actually accomplish that. So now today you've been given some examples, but more importantly, you've been given some protocols that you can use to be able to support you as you make your own changes in your life. Remember, identify what it is, connect to the feeling, stick with it, and then enjoy the results.
Wow. Thank you so much, Linda, for sharing for us your wisdom, knowledge, experience. That was just so unbelievable. We are so capable of creating a new reality.
We are.
Yeah.
We're the only ones
We're
who
the
can
only
write
one
the
can do
story.
it. Yes. Expand our awareness and
Yes.
really step into this new vision, future of the vision that we have, to really kind of visualize and put the intention to really connect to inner world,
Yes.
to reflect outer world, isn't it?
Yes. So we want to create this internal thought process,
Yeah.
so because that's what we're going to play out in the world. So you're absolutely right. The more we can create these wholesome, nurturing, and vibrant environments in the way we are with ourselves, that's what we will create in the lives we live. Yes.
Thank you so much. Everybody, thank you so much for watching and listening. There's many deeper informations in quantumdecoders.com/can, C-A-N. And please come to our channel and enjoy more information and also information about Linda Seagraves. There's so much to offer. And then there's a hope, many hopes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.